So I decided that working in the fields, going to the factory, and doing those other things, working in the chicken poultry wasn't something that I wanted to do. So I had best be on my way to being somebody. So being somebody meant, doing well in school, getting a sound education so I could progress in life. So I got good grades and then went to the next level of learning. And that's what I hope for our young people today, that they can enjoy the school experience. We hate it when we're there. Everybody does. We want to get out. We can't wait until the bell rings. We can't wait until we graduate, and then reality kind of hits us. So I just tell you to enjoy the experience. We want you to get good grades. We want you to progress to the next level of learning. We want you to be able to think creatively, critically, and independently, and truly know what it means to be somebody. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, what it means to be somebody. And as I said, the root for most of us to be somebody has been education. The more education you get, then we believe that the better job you will get, the better neighborhoods you will live in, and perhaps that you'll be able to give back to others. But there are some other roots. So I want to just talk about some other roots, and I'll probably get back to education. But one of the roots said, and everybody wants to feel like they belong. Everyone wants to feel that they are somebody. So one of the roots of being somebody is to be connected to somebody who's somebody. So a lot of people, they say, I know who do Oprah Winfrey's hair. And they believe that by association, they're somebody. Or Stevie Wonder is my first cousin on my granddaddy's cousin's side. We come up with all these convoluted ways, so if we're associated with somebody, then even if we just met I met him 100 times, then I'm somebody. I was talking about meeting Isaac Hayes some years ago, but we believe that by that connection that we are somebody. So that's one of the ways that we try to be somebody. So I know you've all heard it, or even if you've said it, but we try to feel that connection to somebody that we think is somebody. So that's one way of trying to get to that place of somebody. And so we usually want to be, that person has to be considered an achiever. I won't say that, Bo Diddley, not Bo Diddley, but like anybody is my cousin. They got to be somebody who somebody knows. They got to have some kind of fame. They got to have some kind of money. They got to have some kind of props. So we look at people who are achievers. And so we believe that our connection to those achievers, or that if we are achievers, then we will be somebody. I'm not excluding myself. I like to be connected to people, who I believe have achieved. And one of the ways that we began to do that is this whole connection to our history. So through our history, we began to look at those people who have achieved, and we believe that through knowing them and knowing their stories, then we understand that we also are connected to them, and we also are somebody. So I'm somebody because Harriet Tubman was somebody. Harriet Tubman was a black woman, so I'm black, and so I am somebody because of that. So I learned about people in our history, such as Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, Frederick Douglass and the Abolitionist Movement, Booker T. Washington and Tuskegee Institute, Marcus Garvey and the Negro Improvement Association, Mary McLeod Bethune and Bethune-Cookman College, Nelson Mandela and his valiant stand against apartheid. And all Atlanta's like that. We're from Atlanta, where Martin Luther King Jr. was. The home of the civil rights movement. So we consider ourselves a little step above other people. We're a little bit of somebody more because we're connected to Atlanta and we're connected to Martin Luther King Jr. So no, I'm proud of all of my ancestors and my sheroes and all of those names that are in and not in the history books. I realize that it is our connections to the achievements of people that gives us a sense of pride. But the question I ask is, does it make us somebody? I also realize that in terms of education, now you get to be somebody by education. So if you have a high school diploma, we're proud of you. We're glad all our children graduate. But if they don't graduate, they can go back and get a GED. But then there's also the BAs, the MAs, the PhDs, the MDs, and the JDs, and the esteemed BS. And I hold in the highest reverence all of these degrees. And the interesting thing is, like, the BA is not as good as the MA, so you are more of a somebody if you have the MA. And if you have a PhD, then you're more than, the person with the MA. And then if you have a JD or an MD, oh, well, you made it. I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor, and that's how we place people on these pedestals. We place people on these pedestals. And so we find that there is always that upmanship, that you become more of somebody based on your status. And then you think about the money and what they can do with the money. Now, the strange thing about money is we see people with fancy cars. We don't even examine where they got the money from, how they're spending the money, but all of a sudden there's somebody based on what they are driving. I had an aunt that was so funny. She lived in this small house, and her kids were running in like, Grandma, here comes somebody. They driving a Cadillac. And she looked at me and she said, I don't know a Cadillac from no other car. They all the same to me. But it's good to have money, and it's good to have resources, because you can do a lot of good with money. We look at Oprah Winfrey and what she's doing with money. We look at the Gates and how they're using their wealth to advance education. So it's something that we would all like to achieve. We would all like to have great wealth. But the question is, does it make you somebody? And I may be stepping on a few toes now, but a lot of people believe that if they could get in church often enough, that would make them somebody. If they were a part of the right religion, that would make them somebody. And depending on how much work they did in the church, how many auxiliaries they served on, that would make them more of a somebody. So we use all of these different tools to get to that place called somebodyhood. We begin to hinge our identity on the things that we do or the things that we are. But it's very interesting how our society frames things, because we all know that when you look at how people value things, the money has more weight than the PhD. So you start looking at how people value things in our society. And then we look at, the religion, and it's very interesting that in a lot of communities, people can be garbage men during the week, but on Sunday, they can put on their suit, and they really are somebody. And they can be deacon, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but all I'm asking the question is does that make us somebody? Does the money make us somebody? Does the education make us somebody? Or our connections to people who have achieved make us somebody? And then there are those who believe that their physical appearance makes them somebody. How slim they are, how tall they are, how fair they are, how long their weave is.